Okay, so I'm pretty sick today. As you guys know, I'm not going to go into it, but really weak, got a headache, lost a lot of blood today, so not enough to where I feel like I need to go to the hospital, but I do have internal bleeding when my stomach swells, when it has inflammation, and it's just a mess. So, of course, I tried to get online. I was going to hop into Discord, hang out with everybody for a little bit, and then do some work, but I need to have another day here and sleep, and I should be better tomorrow. I keep saying that, but Jesus. Yeah, so, I mean, my disabilities are in full-on shit mode, just so everybody kind of understands that. So, now, and the only reason I'm telling you that's because I'm uploading a video where me and Doc did an interview about the burden of evidence, and I haven't been able to put any work into editing it in the last 2 days, yesterday and today, because of my illnesses. I made sure Doc knew, but I know some of you want to see the video, and I'm just trying to keep you updated. And it's also why we did stream last night. I feel like it was a really good stream. It is getting pretty good views still, which means if I go live again, it'll probably kill the views and pull the views over to the new video. And because of that, I'm going to just choose not to stream tonight. I would be really slow and weak. And, when I have this issue going on, I always say that it's like, normally I can cover all these different things in my brain while I'm talking. I can do like 100 things at once, because you kind of have to when you're running all of your programs and trying to stream and play music and level it. But when I get really sick, I can only handle one thing at a time in my brain. It's like I don't have the energy or some shit to do more than one thing. So not a good day to stream. But we're blessed, because last night's stream, people are still catching up on it. So, okay. So now I gave us around 30 seconds of updating you so we could get into this discussion. And really all I want to talk about now is just how exposed the doxers and the harassers in our communities really are. You've got basically any channel that you want to go to, and you can watch what they do and see it for yourself and make up your own mind. Even though there are a lot of people, not in our community, everybody in our community encourages you to watch everything and make your mind up yourself. But in the communities where people were trying to pretend not to be grifting, harassing, stalking, doxing, porn watching while live creepy fuckers, they, on the other hand, we've had DMs leak, and they're as soon as they meet somebody, they are DMing the person, or as soon as that person has a video that catches their attention, they DM the person and basically lie their ass off. They send anything they can to try to convince that person of their narrative, which is what they did to Nate the lawyer back in the day too. And I say they because it's actually many members of the anti-KJ community, the haters, not the criticizers. It's the best way to describe them because that's their main focus, of course. So these DMs and other things, I'm going to try to kind of hook you up with the different things that have kind of been discovered, but across those. And then I also want to hook you up with the Boozy versus Nate the lawyer thing, because it's getting crazy. I actually talked to Nate today, and there's a lot going on in the background. And I want to make sure you guys are caught up and you're tracking it, and that we fully support Nate, because he's doing something, again, I'm not going to rant, but he's doing something so important. Basically, you can break it down to people in this side of the community are debunkers. We are fixated on making sure that we deliver you what is actually going on, no matter if it makes us look bad, no matter if it makes someone in our community look bad, no matter who it makes look bad or good or whatever, just to give you the story. And knowing that you're smart enough, you're good enough people, and you're smart enough to figure it out. Even if you want to disagree with us, that's a good thing in our community. Me and Navy spend most of our time arguing about our takes on certain things until we have an outcome, And I'd name more people, but I don't want to bring non-stream people into it. But what I'm trying to say is these messages, these DMs, we're not going to get into the creepy stuff right now. We'll get into it in a second. We'll start with the more them building a narrative type thing. But it's exactly what we thought it was. The way you see them act out there, they were in DMs. It was a full-time job for people like the Lobster Man and Tina and Aaron and these doxers and these people that pull rape reports and dox and watch porn while other people are upset about their kids being harassed. And the disgusting people. Now, these disgusting people are constantly trying to justify their behavior. But the problem is they're constantly telling you how bad other people are, and they have no evidence of what they say. And that's been the major point. It's like with Molly Golightly. She fits into that group very easily because of her tactics. They're very much in line. So the DMs that have come out, basically, and I know a lot of you have seen them on Twitter. I know there's creators that are going to be talking about this, AZ and Julie and a bunch of others. If anyone does, I'll try to find out about it and share it. If you see that I'm not sharing something, it's just because I don't know about it. So please hit me up. Also, if you see that any of those people lying on me, I want you to do me a favor. I've got a video clip I just tweeted. Anytime they're lying on any of us or a creator in our community, I want you to grab the link to that clip and I want you to put it underneath someone in that conversation and let them know that, you know, what's going on. Okay? Trust me, this will have a major effect. I actually did it once, and if you look in my tweets and replies, and if you look where I shared it, you'll see what I'm saying. Because this is what they've done. They get online and lie. Aaron is willingly and knowingly lying. I'm sorry for people that like her. It's just a fact. I know you have a family member that grows up around you in some way that ends up doing this, and you end up having to like cut them off for a while. I know that you have experience with this in your life. That's what's happening. There is not an argument anymore. There's too many examples. There are too many direct examples of them protecting each other, their deals to attack certain people and not attack the certain people that they don't want attacked, aka the ones that work for them. Out there, too many examples. In fact, we even have a video clip of both sides admitting to their contracts, their agreements for this. Because we used to only have one side admitting that these agreements exist. Now we've got both sides admitting that they did make these agreements. And we have the DMs, like where Lobster Man first finds out about T-Spiracy and starts to DM her massive amounts of information, lying throughout the entire thing about me, which I think is interesting. And when she comes back and says, okay, I got it, no Unirock, he goes, well, no, I'm just trying to show you like how bad of a person it is. I don't want anyone to be in our interview, not just Unirock, right? When everything he sent had to do with me. And it's a big point I try to make about these people, and I always have, and it's that they don't really stand behind the things they say and do in public, other than when they're just blindly attacking someone. The majority of what they say and do is them trying to cover up what they're really doing, like making contracts. So they want you to believe they criticize people and that they're making good points and that they're being honest and you should listen to them. But then you find out, hold on, if you've got a contract and you can't criticize Aaron, or you can't criticize that guy that I don't want to name, or you can't criticize this person, then why am I listening to anything you have to say from a criticism standpoint? Now we know why they never criticize each other, but they will flip out about the tiniest little things that they can flip out about when it comes to other people, or they'll try to directly lie about someone else. Right? Have they even addressed, by the way, Steve going masturbation crazy on himself while those two women were talking about this kid getting harassed? Have they even addressed it? Now what I want you to understand, what if Katie was live and her husband was watching porn in the background on his phone and accidentally it got exposed that he was doing it? Could you imagine the amount of videos and the places they would go with the things they would say, for how long they would do it? And they can't even he can't even apologize for doing this or admit he was wrong and that it's creepy and that he's a perv. Nothing. None of it. The man just got busted. Now, whether you are in that group of people who believes that he was just watching the porn for no reason, that he wasn't masturbating, because you can't fucking blow the screen up and run it from the beginning of where this all started until the end from the original clip and see him gyrating for yourself, that's fine. But again, this is it. This is why they can't criticize him masturbating while they're live. They can't even call him out because they have a contract. Now, their other contracts have been exposed. Don't think that they don't all have the same contract. Do you know the contract I have with, let me give you an example, Nate the lawyer? You want to know the contract normal YouTubers have with each other? Really none. There is an assumed thing that if you're going to work together, the only thing you're going to do is you're not going to share private information about that person, and you're going to treat them fairly. You're going to call them out or criticize them if they deserve it, and you're going to defend them or be on their side if they deserve it. That's every normal YouTuber in existence, except for this cult of people. So can I, one more time, before we get into these DMs and these other things that have been exposed, because I think are very important, I want to touch on this, the fact that I dubbed them a cult, that core group of people. I want to touch on that and kind of rub it in how right I was. You don't have these kind of contracts that specifically go towards the things that they're for if they're not in a cult. That is the cult. The cult is the contracts. It's the social debts and social forgiveness it's given with it. And it's also, let me go ahead and turn on Do Not Disturb because I don't want this damn thing beeping the whole time. The reason that they're a cult is also the fact that if you look at why they attack who they attack and why they don't attack who they don't attack and why they back up each other's lies and what they have to do in service of each other, and everything that's come out just, let's say, in the last couple weeks. Hashtag Uni was right. They are a cult. That inner group is. And if you go back, I described it as the inner group being a cult the whole time. They just lied to people. That's why they don't share my actual clips or play my actual arguments, because then I would be right and they wouldn't be able to keep lying about me. They'd be exposing themselves. That's why they can't play my clips. So I just want to make sure I kind of rub it in, not to you, but to the people out there who opposed me calling them a cult. Even though I did an entire stream for an hour and a half where I took the literal academic definition of a cult and I put it up and compared with examples how they were and weren't, showing that there was an overwhelming amount of things that made them one and only a few things that they didn't do or that they did to a small extent. I was very fair with them in dubbing them a cult on YouTube and would mention that video when I brought them up as a cult in other spaces, but I still have not even seen them one time try to face a single bit of any of my arguments, because they are just, I would call them drama YouTubers, but there's nothing wrong with a drama YouTuber. Okay? Even drama YouTubers that lie on each other and form these dirty groups and create these types of lies on other YouTubers and shit get exposed and kicked out of and fail, and everybody exposes them and they get this horrible reputation. So drama YouTubers who people constantly try to use as the worst kind out there even have the same standards. And the thing is, I respect somebody that gets on YouTube and says, I'm going to cover rumors and gossip just to let you know, So if you don't want to watch rumors and gossip, you can watch somebody else. Their channels blow up really big, and then people sit and hate on them for covering rumors, gossip, and drama. I respect them a million times more than I respect the lying, doxing, cheating, prawn watching, clackety-clacking lobster type people. So let's move on here. I want to make sure I get all of it here. I think I got it. Number one, I'm really sick. I got worse today. So I'm going to stream and work on things tomorrow if I don't wind up in the hospital, but I'm getting really close to needing to go to the hospital and be admitted for a while. And I really hope that doesn't happen for those of you that weren't here in the beginning, because I'm miserable when I'm in there. But I do have these reoccurring, really fucked up disabilities. That's why the military pays me so much every month, of course, service connected. And it sucks, so I just got to deal with it. So anyway, just in case you weren't here in the beginning, there's a summary. So the next little part of the thing that's going on right now, the good news is, I want to address let's address just a direct tweet that embodies a greater argument real quick. So AZ retweeted the Steve McRae, and his tweet said, apparently I'm a fake philosopher who goes to atheist conventions to have sex orgies at the atheist conventions. Who would have thought? Okay. And I want to address that really quick, because it's an example of them lying to the people that follow them to convince them that someone like AZ or myself or other people that have talked about this before are liars. It's something they used in the beginning to convince good people that, like maybe Julie or AZ or some of the caters, that I'm a bad person or Nate's a bad person. It's a tactic they use by going out there and you notice how they don't directly deny or tell you what happened or tell you what the actual thing is that makes him either a fake philosopher or someone going to sex orgies at atheist conventions. But since he wanted to bring it up really quick, I'm going to break this down for you in a very quick way. And yes, everything I'm about to say came out of their own mouths, was admitted by multiple groups of people that were there. It was witnessed and is a fact. It's a history. And we have the clips to back it up. If you want to go to Unirock 2, you can find me talking about it long ago when it was unveiled. But if you want to go to Rock a Lot, you can find us really breaking it down, because more information came out later and really fucking exposed him. Now, this is back, though, before he was even heavily involved in the cater community. And this is probably why a lot of people don't know about it and why he's trying to just wipe it away as if it's a rumor, a joke, a lie or something. So here's what happened. Now, again, remember, as I go through this, it's about the tactic. It's about the people who actually defend this person are defending these things. They are. And they are trusting a person, because everything he does is based on trust, as you know. And they're trusting him to attack people like Katie and helping him do the attacks against me, Katie, AZ, Julie, and other people, while this is the person that they're defending. So here we go. He is a fake philosopher, and we have the clips to back it up. He's even lied about things that would normally ruin someone's entire career. But I'm not going to go into that here, because he's got something really big in store for him pretty soon, so I'm going to let that go. He is a fake philosopher, and he's actually a hobo. Now, a hobo that purposely crashes in someone's closet, no, that's not an insult or a joke. It is a joke, but that it's true. But this is true. Instead of him renting a buddy's room, he wanted to rent a closet because he could pay less money, and he did. And that's where he streamed from in the beginning, and by the way, he's still a hobo. This hasn't changed, as much as he'll try to ignore this. But real quick, he sat in this closet on that. I described it last time. It was a van seat that he got from somewhere that he swears he didn't steal it out of a random person's van. Yeah, right. and because he didn't want to buy any furniture, he would sit on it and he would stream and he would try to talk about atheism and philosophy, as we all know. So I need to say that because he said he's not a fake philosopher. So most people can be a philosopher even if they're a literal hobo. But the problem is, if you're going to actively lie about many things about yourself on purpose to try to make yourself have credentials, which he's been doing for a long time, then you can't be trusted that the philosophy and these moral or these ethical arguments that you're literally arguing nightly about God and atheism and agnosticism, you can't give him credit as a philosopher. It's like saying that a person who goes out and murders people is going to tell you how you can be nice to others. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Someone who goes out and lies about his credentials when it comes to his past education, lies about his state of his life, and then attacks other people while spitting philosophy, pretending as if that's his main thing, can't do that and be trusted. It's like the comparison I gave. Okay, so he is a fake philosopher. I could say a lot more, but I don't want to bore myself or any of you, because I'm watching the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime on Netflix. If any of you get a chance, yes, it's in English and I think Japanese, but either way, it's so good, you have to watch it. It's on Netflix. So anyway, the second part of this, now that you have a basis, if you want to try to fact check me on if he's a fake philosopher, easily you can, and you know where to go to do it. I'm going to move on to the sex parties, because I think it says a lot about him watching porn recently and getting busted touching himself while he was live with those two dingbats, talking about what they were, these important topics that they were at that time. So what he did was he would use YouTube, where he went around and talked to people and went on other channels and tried to guilt trip people into believing that he was having a hard time and he needed help so he could get out of this rut he was in. So people would share his stuff and he would get women to come to these atheist meetups. This is a fact. This is not me shitting on him. In fact, what I'll do at first, instead of me doing my normal thing where I kind of give my opinion throughout and make jokes, I'll just tell you what he said. And I have played this clip several times because there were trolls coming in my stream stating that it wasn't true, so I let them hear it out of his mouth. So here's what he did. If you recall, there was a fake girlfriend named Sweet Heathen who he would use. She was a member of the atheist community. She went to these atheist meetups. And he would use her as the example of his girlfriend to try to attack people like Katie and try to attack women that would say no to him if he hit on them. By the way, why are you hitting on these people if you're with this woman? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, though. So it's like he would try to get some girl to bang him, or he would compliment them and talk about his junk and get called out like he did by Katie. And then he would say, well, here's a picture of my girlfriend and she's way hotter than you. What do you mean? You were just fucking trying to bang this person. You were just hitting on them, bro. So I never understood that. But anyway, so Sweet Heathen was a person who fit the scenario of one of the many women that have been talked into doing this. Now, if you want to research who his friends are, he has admitted 1,000,000 times and been on stream with Lawrence Krauss and David Silverman. So I invite you, due to his own admission, being those two people, to look up what happened to those two. Lawrence Krauss hanging out on Jeffrey Epstein's island, Krauss, and David Silverman, not only accused of sexual assault and harassment several times, but to the extent that he was fired from everything he was, every position he held at that point. And if you want to see the videos of him streaming with these people constantly, even recently, go find them. I'm tired of doing the work for these people that act like they are morally superior to everyone else when they're the ones putting out the moral argument. Everyone else is literally talking about what's going on YouTube, what's going on the platform, and what's being put out publicly, correcting the record and giving their opinion when you're not putting out a moral argument. And they act like they can judge everybody, so they can go find their own clips. And like I said, it's on my channel, so you're more than welcome to watch that. So those two did what they did and would constantly, even Matt Dillahunty, would go to these atheist conventions. They would basically go on YouTube, talk atheism, do all this stuff, go around giving speeches, yada, yada. And then they would do these meetups where a lot of stuff happened, but I'm not going to talk about Dillahunty, Krause, or Silverman. I have before. I'm going to talk about the one that Steve is bringing up, trying to call AZ a racist and a liar. Well, he tried to call her a liar over what I'm about to tell you. Today, it's on AZ's timeline. I retweeted it. Here we go. So he had convinced Sweet Heathen to come to the convention where he was going and where some of his friends were. They go in, and after the convention, and this is what they do at all those conventions, they get the women drunk that will come. They lure them in from YouTube. It's very predatory. It's something I hope Wes looks into because there's lots of clips to back this up. I'll address the singular clip now. So even he admits, and the men that were with him admit, they got Sweet completely blasted drunk to the point where she wanted to go up to the room because she was so intoxicated she couldn't stay down at the bar and keep drinking. She goes up, winds up in a room with Steve McRae sitting in the corner watching and doing the same thing he was doing while he was watching porn on EKC's stream. He then, Steve's friend then, and this is when they were all drunk on a stream. By the way, this happening had already been out for a long time. I'm just going to reference his clip with his words so that he doesn't keep trying to lie about it while saying that AZ is the liar. Conspiracy. So he goes in, he's in the corner, he's sitting there, and he is EKC streaming himself, if you know what I mean, like he was when he was on her stream, that clip I retweeted. And this entirely, completely wasted Sweet Heathen is making out with, whether she even realizes it or not, 5 different of Steve's friends that are in the room with him. So Steve's buddy that's on a stream with Steve brings this up, goes into detail about it, and then talks about how he finished and how Steve was sitting in the corner watching the whole time, which was further elaborated on by people who went to the convention, who saw Sweet Heathen and these guys in the bar and were worried about her due to how drunk she was. Further elaborated on by the men that were engaging in the gangbang, talking about this and bragging about this to many other content creators and viewers in Discord servers over a period of a few months, combined with the clip that Steve has. And they didn't just do this shit at one convention. They did it a bunch. We typically try not to bring this up that often because even though Sweet Heathen is a vile liar, I mean vile. She tried to accuse Nate the lawyer of being worse than a convicted rapist who is convicted of ARPing his own infant daughter. And I'm not lying, these clips exist. And Steve McRae repeats those clips over and over and over against Nate many times. This is just before the Cater community ever happened. So, anyway, we try to respect Sweet because she's made the claim that she didn't consent that night. Some of us are like, hold on a minute, like, what does that mean? How does that factor? But with Sweet, kind of like not necessarily ever coming out and trying to talk about this, combined with, other than a couple times she did, combined with the other things that people say about the situation, we do our best to try and not bring this up for her sake, not knowing what exactly happened, whether she considers it R, whether she considers it whatever she considers it. It's hard to do it with, it's hard to discuss it at that point once it gets there. But we will bring it up when he tries to call someone like T-Spiracy a liar and defame her and slander her and attack her like he did on Twitter today. By the way, he is also in Discord servers surrounded by the caters he hangs out with daily. screaming and crying and flipping out about all this stuff like he does. And if you didn't see, he went live and attacked Doom for God knows how long. But I bring up this instance with Sweet leading into these leaked DMs and these other things that have happened because, again, he'll go around. He's the type of person who will make a deal with someone behind closed doors and sign an NDA so that he can try to create the NDA with the words he uses to agree to it so that he can leave the room and then lie as much as humanly possible about the conditions that he signed and make sure that he can try to semantically convince people that nothing happened that was made him look bad. He enters into deals with people so that he can protect the things that make him look the worst from being realized, and so that he can lie about the things that make him look the worst. It's why his weakness is the videos, like I talked about on stream last night, for another subject, but it applies. Once he started to be archived and people started saving his clips like 4 years ago, every freaking 6 months, the man destroys his reputation more and more and more and more, to a point where it cannot even be destroyed at all. It's hard to even burn it down any further than it is, because the only thing that actually matters is, though, he constantly tries to go into new communities and convince everybody that he's just this good guy. Now, this is also what his friends do, so it applies to them all. Claire Bear, EKC, and the rest of them. They go into different communities and they try to do their kind of like weird, hidden from the shadows, from the corner, window peeping, creepy, defamatory attack stuff. And they kind of like, it gives them a little thrill. It makes them happy to do this. They don't engage with words and arguments and content, or they'd lose. And so they don't mind going into the shadows. So let's go into what this means. And I'm so glad that he brought these sex gangbangs up. Now, don't get it twisted. He doesn't have a reputation of participating because of two things by his own admission. Well, one of them is by his own admission. The other is accidentally by his admission. He used to have a proclivity of sending pictures of himself to women. The first thing, though, he himself admits that he didn't have a testosterone drive. Like, he didn't have that drive to be involved. He had a drive to sit in the corner. That's what made him happy. Okay, now this is not me shitting on him. I get it. It makes him look bad, but this is what he admitted to. This is what his friends literally said, and he didn't correct them. He agreed with them. He admitted to sitting in the corner, wanting to watch them do this to his fake girlfriend. Again, she wasn't his girlfriend. That was just a thing he tried to do to because everything about him that he puts out publicly is to dupe people into believing something about him so he can get donos. Okay? He has to build a persona. And he has to maintain that persona at all costs, because now his donos are attached to that instead of attached to content. Right? So anyway, back to what I was saying. This matters. You got to hear me out here. Because number one, he does this in real life, not just on the internet. And number two, he has a preference of sitting in the corner and watching and doing what he did on that stream where he was playing the porno. Okay? Now let that knowledge that AZ was telling the truth, was not lying on him. These are real events. And you can even go and find that there are many women who have been to these events and have seen this happen this isn't a one-time thing, y'all. This happens a lot. Now, it's the thing that really brought down the whole atheist community, if you didn't know, on YouTube. But we're not talking about that. We are using that as a basis for number one, that he does these things. He'll get drunk. He'll do long live streams. He'll admit to these things. Once he realizes how bad it makes him look and how creepy it makes him look, then he tries to call anyone who brings it up later a liar. Because after that clip that came out a few days ago of him playing the prawn, doing the doo-doo down below while his camera was zoomed in the dark room on his face so you couldn't see his hands, it kind of goes to why he was watching that prawn video. It kind of goes to why he has a preference to try to DM women and get their naked pictures. It goes to why, I don't know who this Dom person is. Who cares about the past? Let's talk about this subject, because I think this Dom person used to talk shit about me. I don't care. I know that they're being slandered, lied about, and attacked by Steve, and they defended themselves with a stream recently. And anyway, the point is, I was going to talk about what happened with them, but let's finish this real quick. Because, well, let's go ahead. Dom was commenting on how he had admitted in a video clip that he gave Cheshire's and then this guy's naked pictures to a take a seat exposed harassing girl that you all know. And Dom had repeated that on a stream because Dom had seen the video clip of Steve admitting to doing it. We all have. It's on the channel Learning with Suge. You can find me retweeting Suge's videos. For any of you that haven't seen those videos, immediately go watch all the videos on Suge and Menace's channels. Because if you've been targeted by this person, if these things have happened to you, you really do need to see how deep this all goes and get motivated to go file a police report. And I'm not joking. If you think other people aren't, they are. In fact, I know for a fact someone who filed a report locally against Steve just in the last 2 days. I don't think they're going to talk about it publicly right now. It's going to be about a month, I think. Anyway, and it wasn't me, it was a woman. Anyway, so, I'm sorry, it was a male. I don't want to say that wrong. It was a male. But anyway, I'm not going to go into it. I'll go into it here in a few weeks when it becomes relevant. Though, and I apologize, I'm out of breath. I've lost a lot of blood today and I feel like shit, so I'm going to try to hurry. So let's move into why him trying to get nude pictures from a girl on the internet recently and these leaks of these DMs matter. First, you need to understand you're dealing with an omega cuck. No shaming. That is his preference. Remember those two things I brought up? One was that he likes to sit in the corner. That's his preference. The other is because he has a hard time getting it up, is why he likes to sit in the corner. And he admitted to all this, and it had something to do with like low testosterone and stuff. But the other thing about why was because he doesn't want the men and women he's engaging with to see his micro. And we call it that to be nice, because we really need to call it a micro. And again, this was discovered because pictures of him standing in a bathroom with nothing but kind of tight shorty shorts on bounced around the internet when a female came out and went to all the communities and tried to say, I want this man exposed. He keeps sending me stuff like this, even though I tell him to stop, and it's really small. So take it as you will. The picture is out there. It's called the micro peen pic. And that is something he used to do, is exchange his micro peen, according to these women. I'm sure he has a different story. I believe his excuse was he was taking pictures because he was losing weight and he was sending these to kind of show off that he was losing weight. But the people who came out to expose him claimed, no, he was trying to get me to send him naked pictures, and he was sending me these pictures as a trade. Now, I would look at this and say, well, he did lose weight, and he did actively lose weight at the time and was working out at the time and getting healthy at the time. So maybe I'll believe him and think this person's trolling him, except for the fact that he never has tried to lose weight. He's never tried to be healthy. I don't think he's ever been healthy. So anyway, and again, this all relates to what we're talking about. I'm not just trying to be a dick to the guy, ironically. Definitely not trying to be a micro dick to the guy. Get it? But okay. So you have to understand that there are at least claims that I believe, whether you want to believe him, that these were weight loss pics. By the way, if you were taking weight loss pictures and you wanted people to see them, you'd think you'd at least clean up a little bit. You wouldn't be covered in disgustingness, stankiness, oil and grease, sweat, and you'd wash or put on a nice pair of underwear first. But, you know, different folks, different micropeens, I guess. The point is, whether you believe his claims or you believe the claims of the people that have come out to state what they've stated, he has now been exposed again for berating and then harassing a member of our community for nude pictures when they refused to give them to him for free due to the fact, and by the way, I have nothing against people doing this online, just so you know, just so that's there, because they actually do have, and whether it's an OnlyFans or not, they have an OnlyFans type thing, okay? If you want, you can throw them tips and they'll do like artistic nudes and stuff like that and send them to you and whatever, okay? Which, if you've got that going on, I don't shame you for that. I don't put you down. I tell you to be you. I tell you to be free. I tell you to make your own decisions. I tell you to, you know, own what you do, be yourself, be proud of it. That's what I tell you. And it applies when you're not hurting other people. Once you start to lie, harass, defame, attempt to stalk other people, yeah, don't do you. Go get help. Check yourself in, and then do you after you don't do those things anymore, right? Now, this goes to him, and I'm not going to get all this perfect, but there are people that are going to do video breakdowns of this, and I will share those videos breakdowns, of course, as much as I possibly can, and draw as much attention as I can, because they have gone and gotten permission to talk about it, made sure they're respecting the person this happened to, and I applaud this person for coming out, not only doing their thing, being them, being who they are, but coming out and putting a stop, putting their foot down, putting themselves in the target of the harassment from this lobstery creeper, so that maybe in the future other people won't be, okay? So I'm telling you, I'm not trying to claim to have all the details, and I'm sick right now, and I wouldn't be good at giving them to you anyway. I'm just trying to pass it along and talk about our community and talk about what's going on. So those DMs show that he entered into the DMs in much the same way as he entered into DMs with content creators, building an image of himself that is a complete and utter lie, defaming other people, talking shit on other people, and just being an overall creep in the DMs. Because he, remember, always has a deal with people. You never share other people's DMs until he has for the 20th times that he has, right? He only says that because if the DMs that he's had with people come out, well, let me give you an example of that. Back, remember when those 2019 screenshots came out? Well, he didn't want you to know that he had DM'd Katie's address, pictures of her house, and several other private details about her life to many people. Many of them had nothing to do with anything that was going on, and immediately went to content creators, outed him for this, and exposed him, which led to a lot of what happened in 2019. Though, just so you know, him and the harpies that he employs work overtime in order to, convince people that they're telling the truth. And it's always pathetic when you see people doing that, because you don't have to work overtime. Send them the proof and then go about your business being yourself and being happy and doing your content. It's why the people like him and his girlfriends that do this have no time for real content, a real personality, to practice what they do, to get better at what they do. Because lying, building fake images, hiding the things they've done is a full-time job. It's more than a full-time job. Now, back to what happened. So he had basically gotten some teasers, offered some teasers, okay? Not that he got them, they were offered. Probably because he had one of his sister wives lie and make this person believe that he was someone different than who he actually is, or who cares? Either way, that's what happened. He got offered some teasers, introductory. It's like a demo to a video game. You get like the first level free, kind of like introductory stuff. And if you want to keep engaging, you got to pay the video game a monthly fee if you want to keep getting the content, right? But he never played the demo. He never took the teasers. So after that offer expired, he went into the DMs and started to beg. And the person said, "No, who the fuck are you?" Right? Now, I know if you've seen a recent video from Suge, he believes everyone should know who he is, and they should know his built version of who he is. And he gets really surprised and upset when someone like Wes has no clue about him and who he is and what he's done. Or he'll try to stop you from listening to any other content creator that's been in any community he's gone through, because they'll tell you the truth about what he did to those communities, and he will lie and tell you that didn't happen, or a different version did. So anyway, he thought he was owed. The narcissist he is. The creepy lobster. The window peeping, corner sitting, prawn, and while people are talking about their children fapping guy that he is. Got offended at the fact, he got angry at the fact that they wouldn't honor his greatness, his God kingness. By the way, that title is what he calls himself. It's not what I'm calling him. I'm using it sarcastically. He's not. And when this situation popped off, of course, immediately after, the individual who he tried to get the pictures from, who'd said no, starts getting viciously harassed by, as it's been explained to me, subject to further update, anonymous accounts. And I even think that they said that they were harassed by his sister wives in his community. I know they said his community. So, like I said, subject to a future update. This is coming out because this and things like this are coming out because people now know he's powerless. Chris Hansen, the greater internet, the greater communities have your back. More people have come out to show the conversations he tried to have with them, given their DMs up in the pursuit of the truth coming out about him, than in the last 3 days, in the last week, more people have come out and offered up those things about him than have happened in the last 2 years combined. The minute that Hansen asked him to take a seat, it really freed people of the fear they've had, because now they know that while Hansen is looking into the community, if he decides to dox, harass, attack, and do these things, it's only going to make him look worse. And they also know that enough information, if enough evidence is collected on him, he's going to get banned. And I've had long discussions. I've defended him in one way for years. And you all know this. There are people out there who expose Steve who have hated me for a long time because I hold an opinion. throughout the years that he shouldn't be banned from the platforms. Now, again, in the last while, of course, you haven't heard me say that because I've been changing my opinion for about a year. And lately, I'm fine to come out and say that he does need to be banned from the platforms. He'll never stop. He's never going to stop going live and trying to instigate harassment against you or any female out there who tells him no, just like Katie did, just like this person did. And the thing is, the gross thing about the anti-KJ people that will sit there and bash Katie while believing him about what happened between Katie and him, the thing that's gross about this is that there were many women before Katie, and there have been many women after. Many of them have come out and put their names on the line, shown the proof, shown the evidence, and even had him make statements to where it confirms their stories. And these people that have come out in the last few days, the last week, that are piling on are just more evidence to the fact that Katie told the truth. And again, Katie, if she had lied on this, would have been eviscerated by me on the subject. The only reason that you can't eviscerate Katie on this subject is because the evidence is there for you to see. I've shown it a million times. So, when people try to say that they support this guy and they support what he's done, they all know that they're supporting this kind of creepy stalkery, this kind of weird, I'm online from the minute I wake up until the minute I go to bed. No, not editing videos or live streaming, but trying to defend the fake image that hides things that would get me banned from every community and platform out there. And that's what he's doing. In fact, I've seen several examples of the stuff, like I mentioned before, of what he sent to people. Remember, have you guys seen, there's been people sharing when Steve came on my show and when I would go on his show, like a long time ago. And they're sharing it and they're all like messaging me and saying, oh my God, Uni, he does nothing but kiss your ass the entire time he's around you, talking about how good of a YouTuber you are, how great your videos are, how good you are at getting to the truth on something, and he did it right up until the night you criticized him. And yes, you did criticize him first, and then he read out like a psycho, and it's crazy. And my response is, yeah, that's what he does to everybody. I'm just the person who, you know, had a big community when he did it in the beginning, and still has like a medium-sized community right now because I just got back into doing what I do. So, of course, it's very visible for people to see that about me. But don't think that all the smaller creators out there, all those other people out there, that the people that are good with him are just the cowards who won't criticize him. And I've challenged DKC and all those little simps, criticize him. Go take the top 10 things that he's done wrong, make a video about it, and point it at him, and you see if he doesn't flip on you. And none of them will do it. But they have time to repeat the same old thing about Katie Joy for 50 billion times, right? The whole point in the end of this is that if you have, the conversations. So I've seen more conversations of what he DMs people about me when he first meets people, and oh my God, is he a coward? Is he a small little man? It's exactly like the other ones you've seen. If you guys haven't seen it, he will go and take any little thing that he possibly can and just sit and fill inboxes up with reasons why they shouldn't ever even click a Unirock video. Don't watch his stuff at all. Don't listen to a word that comes out of his mouth. And obviously it's because I actually show the evidence of who's telling the truth. Is it me? Is it him? Is it Menace? Is it Navy? Who's telling the truth in each situation? Here's the source material. He doesn't want you to see the source material or the proof. And we all know that. But it's just so... Now, why is all this coming out for me to see now? Like I said, the floodgates have opened on the McRae. And the only thing that's going to change, because his reputation out there is already of the creepy, stalking doxer that he is. It's there. It's out there. The proof is in front of you. The people that say the opposite, the very few of them, are either lying to you or they're purposely ignoring it. So what's going to change from about like this new evidence and all this new information coming out against him and different people finally stepping up to try to stop him from doing this stuff to them and all this? What's going to change? Instead of him, like, he's going to lose the ability to be able, after all of, like in the next couple weeks, the next couple months, he has the ability to go into a new community right now and attempt to try and convince people enough not to watch Menace's videos ever, so that he can lie to them and build a big narrative and a big lie that he can hope that if he uses his 3 sister wives, or 4 of them, to kind of pretend like it's real around a new person, that they'll buy it. And by Hanson and by Wes and other people and all the other people that have all this new stuff that's come out, it's going to be a completely known thing. Like if you stumble into DSP's stream, you will immediately know that DSP is a massive e-beggar. He's not going to be able to convince you that he's a normal creator, because everybody on the internet knows what he is, right? That's what's going to happen to Steve here in the next few months. By the way, if you recall January of 2020, I have to gloat. Not only have I been right, and I've what I promised the debunking community, I have delivered 80 times over. But the lolcow promise I made to you about how he will be a lolcow. And that is when a crisis point of people end up knowing his real reputation to the point that he can't escape it and must embrace it. Okay? So he won't be able to try and find new people to build this narrative of a visage of himself. He'll have to go into new situations and either ignore new people, or he'll have to admit that he is what he is. And that's going to be the big thing that gets solidified as this year rolls out. And it will hit a apex by Christmas time. And yes, he is known for having Christmas meltdowns. And guys, get your freaking popcorn, Thunder Nipples, because yes, I'm talking to you, Han Thunder Nipples, because this Christmas is going to be the biggest boomsmas we've ever seen. So, if you have DMs with him, or if he has harassed you, make sure you get in touch, not with me, but with people out there who, like T-Spiracy and Julie and others, who have been talking about this and getting this out there. Make sure you do, because there's not only going to be a push to report Molly Golightly to YouTube and Patreon this week, you know, leading into this week, and getting that done. That's not just going to happen. After all of this comes out about him and all of it's shown in the light, all of the sunlight shines on this whole thing, yes, absolutely, there will be a true and accurate reporting of what he's done to the same places, and Twitter for both of them too. So I'd say, thankfully, it's not just going to be that he's going to have this reputation. He's not going to be the solidified kind of reputation that also, he's probably going to, at least like Molly, in the very least, lose his partnership and Patreon over the harassment, doxing, the sexual stuff, the just really gross stuff. The worst things are probably going to do that for both Molly and Lobster Man. Now, a lot of people then say, what about his simps? Oh, don't worry. They've got the same kind of fate coming, because you can't pull rape reports and put it on your channel, talk about it, share it around, and shame victims of R, regardless of whether you believe them or not or whatever, to defend a cop or whatever. You're supposed to at least try to maintain their claim, regardless of what your opinion is and how you represent your opinion, and you're supposed to follow terms of service. So I do have a feeling that the rest of them will also have the same fate. But regardless, come out, get your, if you want to let these people know anonymously what happened, and, you know, send an email in, whatever it is. Because a lot of people are way more, comfortable now knowing that, you know, the only thing that ever gave, like, if Molly had let me say this, let's say Molly had a YouTube representative sitting in on her streams for a week. Do you think she'd dox anybody or do any of that crazy stuff? No, she wouldn't, because she knows that it's against TOS, or else she would. If he had a YouTube rep sitting in watching what he's doing for a week, do you think he would do any of the things he does? Well, no. So anyway, make sure you come out and talk, because what I think needs to happen is maybe they won't get banned. Maybe YouTube will say, nope, they're allowed to dox, they're allowed to do these things. I don't think with the amount of people that have been coming out lately, though, that YouTube's going to ignore these two people, McLobster and Molly. Oh, some funny mentions at the end. So funny mention number 1 is the Grifties. Everybody knows that the Grifties is a troll, right? It's a troll thing. It's not supposed to be serial. Well, if you look, I believe that Nick Rakita is on the Grifties because he told his community to vote him in. So he's there. So we're going to ignore him. But Molly is climbing the Grifties. The Grifties is like a troll thing where they have this thing where if you pay $3 or $4, you can nominate somebody to be on the Grifties, where they're going to determine, they'll have everybody vote to see who the biggest grifter is. So there's a couple political people on there. That's just boring. And out of the things that are worth mentioning here, Steve is number 6, I believe, or 5. So if you haven't voted in the Grifties, go vote. You're allowed like 4 or 10 votes, but now Molly, I believe, is like number 16. I was pretty shocked to find out that Steve was like number 6 or number 5 at the Grifties. It doesn't take much to tip him over into the top 3, I don't think. So wouldn't that be hilarious? Because you realize that, you know, Steve went around trying to convince people to vote Katie Joy into the Grifties. And Steve organized the Katie haters to vote Katie into the Grifties, if you didn't know this. Well, it backfired on him, because it turned out there were so many people that really do truly hate Steve McRae and do have the proof that he is a grifter. He's running a Go Fraud Me right now. He's running a fraud raiser as we speak. Katie's never done that. Sure, we get it. They hate Katie so much. They want to vote Katie into the Grifties. Sure, okay, your haters got it. But you probably shouldn't have even brought the Grifties up and campaigned so hard for Katie to win the Grifties when you yourself run fraud raisers and you grift women online. So it backfired on him massively. Like, I just saw the screenshot. He was like 5 or 6 on the Grifties. And it's because not only did they go and vote Katie onto the Grifties as a troll, they voted him on for literally grifting. So wherever Katie ends up sitting on the Grifties, everyone's just going to ignore it. Everybody knows it's going to be because her hate community, from wake up until sleep, her hate community sat there, you know, voting and voting and voting and voting and voting as much as they possibly could. But by Steve McRae's legitimate, completely fucking legitimate voting, he's looking to get up there in the top 3. So I think it's impressive, because when you look at Rakita, it's a joke. You look at Katie, it's her haters. You look at Molly and Steve, it's because they rip people off, run fraud raisers, and then dox and harass people to try to protect that information from going public. That's pretty fucking crazy. And yes, I was going to try to get Navy to be here, but he's been working late. So he'll be back in soon. It's his damn hours. I still talk to him every day, and I'm hoping soon, we can just set a couple days aside during the week where he can jump in for just a little bit. He doesn't have to come in for long, just for a little bit. I'll make time. So keep an eye out, because I do feel that make sure if you see any of the sister wives or Steve lying about me, I not only have the clip that I've tweeted out recently that I'm going to make sure we put, and now I know they block people, but there are going to be people in those threads who they haven't blocked. And that's where those replies are going to go. Anytime the sister wives or Steve lie about me from now on, I'm going to go take, and I hope you do, if you follow me too and you're on Twitter, you take that video, it's the hand job video of Steve, and you go and paste it over there in those threads, because it'll embarrass him so much, he'll eventually, get the point. But what I'm going to do is edit a supercut together of the grossest, most disgusting clips. I've never done this. Maybe someone else will help me too. But a supercut of the grossest, most disgusting kind of things that Steve has ever said while live. And now, if this was like any other creator, you're going to have a hard time finding them saying gross things live. But Steve he has 100 to choose from. And out of the 100, 200 he has to choose from. There's like 20 or 30 really fucking gross ones. So I'm going to take the grossest of the gross, and I'm going to create a supercut, upload it to YouTube, and anytime that Steve lies on Nate, myself, or whoever, we're going to take the link to that supercut and put it into the thread so that he'll be advertising his worst clips, his most embarrassing behavior anytime he lies on anybody, which is only fair. If he's not going to stop his bullshit, we'll just have to fight fire with lulz, guys, right? And keep your eyes open. If you hear about new people coming out with their DM history, because there's been a bunch lately in the last few days, and new people coming out with their stories, new people coming out that claim to be a victim of his, because his victims are real victims, unfortunately. They really are. What he did to Crispy, the woman who he tried to get nudes from, and when she refused, he harassed the living fuck out of her with his harassment group. His harassment group has been proven time and time over. It's been tested. There have been Discord servers where a person is in there who claims that he's not doing it. And they will go out and say, okay, create a new account. I'm going to create a new account, and I'm going to show you him doing it in real time, where they've literally convinced people that he does have a harassment group by doing it in real time. So, you can test it yourself. EKC could test it herself by showcasing Steve's top 10 grossest clips and explaining them and criticizing them instead of defending them. But anyway, I've made sure to make all my points a couple times now. Keep an eye out. Let's help these people that are victims. Let's get their stories out there, because now the last thing I'm going to say, I saved this for the very end. Not only is it the right thing to do, but we all know what Chesh and Steve and Reds would always say about people who are victims. When he would frame Manya or Claire Bear, or he would frame Chesh as a victim of something, he would say that you have to spread their story around. Their stories have to get out there. Katie made him a victim, so he has to get his victim story of Katie out there. By his own admission, the right thing to do when you have something like this happen is get their story out there, be honest, and put out the proof and help the people. Now, again, even though he only does that as a defamatory type of thing, let's make sure that we understand he is only making fun of it because it is the right thing to do. And they do need help. And That's what justice is. You know, like you'd think a philosopher would know, but justice, it's not social justice as much as it's just that the only thing that's ever solved or combated any of these types, the worst internet tough guy, skeezy, gross, pervy people on the internet, the only thing that really stops them in their tracks is for people to know what they're doing. Because it'll then, every time they go to a new place, the people there already know, oh God, there's that guy. So that's the thing that's happening now. And we just want to make sure that whoever he's done this to in the past, you know, they get their day of redemption.